I thought I understood love when I bought her the ring. I was 24, hands shaking in a jewelry store, thinking the size of the diamond measured the size of my heart. I'm Walter. I'm 87 years old, and I only learned what love really was after my wife Barbara was gone. I spent most of my marriage confusing effort with presence, thinking the next raise, the next house, the next vacation would prove how much I cared. And by the time I understood I was wrong, there were more memories than chances left to get it right. When I look back now, the moments that feel holy weren't the anniversaries or the big gifts. They were the tiny, quiet things I barely noticed while they were happening. Tuesday nights, for example. Barbara used to make spaghetti. Nothing fancy, just jarred sauce and overcooked noodles. And we'd eat on the old wooden table with a little chip in the corner. I'd be half listening, nodding, while she told me about her day at the school, about the kid who finally learned to read, or the teacher who drove her crazy. And I'd be thinking about emails I needed to send, deals I needed to chase. I thought I was there. I wasn't. She had this habit of touching my arm when she laughed. Just 2 fingers. Light. Like she was checking I was really there beside her. I remember that now, like it's carved into stone. Back then, it was background noise. Something that just happened while my real life was playing in my head. If you'd asked me then if I loved her, I would have said yes without hesitation. I worked hard, I paid the bills, I took us on trips, I was faithful. I thought that was the whole job. I can tell you the day I started to understand how wrong I was. It wasn't dramatic, no big fight, no grand turning point. She got sick. At first it was just little things, forgetting where she put her keys, losing her train of thought in the middle of a story. We laughed it off. Getting older, we said. Everyone does it. But then the doctor said the word we were both afraid of and pretending not to consider. After that, time changed shape. Days got heavier. The future got smaller. Suddenly, the woman who had tarried so much of our life quietly in the background needed me for the tiny things she'd always done herself, helping her button the blouse, reading the labels on her medication, sitting with her when the world got confusing. And I realized how little practice I had being fully there. I could organize appointments and write checks and talk to specialists, but just sitting next to her on the couch, holding her hand while she stared out the window, that was harder than any meeting I'd ever run. There was no task to hide behind, just her and me and all the years I'd spent in the same room without really showing up. One afternoon near the end, we were in the kitchen. She was sitting at the table, wrapped in that old blue cardigan she loved. I was making her tea. I set the mug down in front of her, and she looked up at me with this soft, tired smile and said, "You know, Walt, I like you better like this." I asked her what she meant. She said, "Here, just here, not thinking about the next thing, just with me." I laughed it off at the time, kissed her forehead, told her she was stuck with me. But that sentence has followed me every day since she died. After the funeral, the house was so quiet, it felt like a different planet. I walked from room to room, seeing our life in objects. Her slippers by the bed, her reading glasses on the nightstand, a grocery list on the fridge in her handwriting. I sat down at that same chipped kitchen table and realized those were the things I missed. Not the vacations, not the big parties, not the framed photos of us dressed up and smiling for other people. I missed the sound of her humming while she washed dishes. I missed the way she'd ask me, "Did you eat today?" Like I wasn't a grown man, but her boy who needed looking after. I missed the way she'd fall asleep on the couch 10 minutes into a movie, her head leaning just a little toward my shoulder. The memory that breaks me every time is so small, I almost didn't keep it. A Tuesday again. She'd already been sick for a while. I came home late, as usual, and she tried to make dinner, but got confused and burned the garlic bread. Smoke in the kitchen, window open, her looking embarrassed and frustrated with herself. I told her it was fine, that we'd just order something. She apologized, like she'd failed a test. I remember thinking, why is she so upset? It's just bread. I didn't understand that she was mourning the parts of herself she was losing. The simple acts of care she used to wrap our life in. Now, when I warm up frozen bread in my little apartment, I'd give anything to stand in that smoky kitchen again, to tell her, "Hey Barb, sit down. I've got it. You've done enough. Just keep me company." I didn't say that. I rushed past it. I was uncomfortable with her sadness, so I tried to fix it instead of just being in it with her. I thought love meant solving problems. Sometimes love means shutting up and letting someone feel what they feel while you hold their hand and stay. You might think the big regrets are about shouting matches or cruel words, but for me, they're not. It's all the times I was physically there and emotionally elsewhere. All the evenings I sat in the same room while my mind was running laps in some future that never came the way I imagined. Love, I finally realized, isn't in the heavy moments you plan. It's in the light ones you ignore. The coffee you bring without being asked. The question you actually listen to the answer of. The way you say goodnight, even when you're tired and grumpy and think there will always be another night to do it better. I learned how to love when all I could do was sit beside her hospital bed and wipe her mouth with a damp cloth. When I could no longer promise her a better house or another trip or more of anything except my attention. I learned that tenderness is not some extra you sprinkle on top of a life. It's the substance of it. It's the tone you use when you say someone's name. It's choosing to look up from the screen, from the worry, from yourself, and actually see the person who has been seeing you for years. If you're listening to this and you still have your person, whoever they are, I'm asking you to do something I can't go back and do. Tonight, when you're with them, put the phone down, turn the TV down, and just notice them. Notice how they stir their tea, how they laugh, how they sigh when they're tired, how they fill the room in ways you stopped paying attention to. Sit close enough to feel their warmth. Ask one simple question and really hear the answer. That's it. It won't feel like a grand gesture. You might even feel silly. But that's the stuff your future self will sit alone and replay. I promise you. I used to think time would make my love louder. That one day I'd finally become the husband Barbara deserved. What I know now is that love never had to be louder. It had to be closer, smaller, daily, ordinary. I only learned how to do that when it was almost over, when later turned into too late. You don't have to wait as long as I did. You can start with tonight's dishes, with tomorrow morning's goodbye, with the next time they walk into the room, and you choose, just for a moment, to really look at them like you might not get them forever. I'm old and I'm tired, and I live most of my love now in memories. But you might still be in the middle of the story. So go stand in the kitchen, in the hallway, on the couch next to the person you say you love, and let yourself show it in the smallest way you can think of. One day, that might be the moment that saves you from sitting where I am, wishing you had understood all of this while they were still here to feel it.